Okay, so then 2001 rolls around. You're 40 years old at the time. Was this around the time that they brought the whole Hells Angels situation to you?
It was in 2001. I'd already had 15 years of undercover experience under my belt. I'd bought everything from Saturday Night Special pea shooters to shoulder-launched rockets. I'd bought everything from homemade PVC pipe bombs to, like we discussed earlier, servo-activated remote control C4 devices. I'd bought street corner dope, dime bags, up to cartel level dope. I'd done home invasion in cases and murder for hire cases. So when the request came in, the opportunity came in to work on the Hells Angels, the case agent asked me to participate. And actually, my first answer was, I'm not the best guy for this. I'm not the best choice for this case. I'm just this, I played this character, this white trash, gun running, debt collecting, quasi hitman. I didn't have expertise in the biker world. Several of my friends, several of my peers did, and I felt were better at it. But the case agent convinced me, like just give it a try. And that was probably, to be honest with you, like I've never portrayed myself to be the best undercover agent out there. There's many that I know and admire that I think are better at it than I was, but I was always willing. I was always willing to try. I was always willing to raise my hand and take a shot.
Okay, well, in April 2002, there was the River Run Riot, where the Hells Angels and the Mongols had a huge brawl inside of a casino. One of the Mongols, Anthony Barrera, he was stabbed to death. Two Hells Angels, Jeremy Bell and Robert Tumelty, were shot to death. It was just it was, I think, the only time where people were actually dying and getting killed in casinos during that time. So were you brought in before or after that incident?
I had started before that incident. I was actually with the Hells Angels that night. They had set up a home base at the Flamingo Hotel in Laughlin. The Mongols were at the Harrah's Casino. So Hells Angels went down to the Harrah's, which is where the riot took place. And I think what was amazing in all that is that as the public, like really for the first time, we had seen how massive and how violent those riots are. And the reason we saw it was because it was captured under hundreds of closed-circuit casino television cameras. So almost every aspect and every angle of that riot was videotaped.
Okay, so how long were you with the Hells Angels before that actually happened?
Well, I wasn't in them. I was on the periphery with them at that point. I was making introductions and meeting people and trying to figure out who's who in the zoo. But ultimately, my work on the Hells Angels lasted 2 years.
Okay, and that incident launched Operation Black Biscuit.
That incident and one other. The Harrah's Casino riot, obviously, the Hells Angels, especially a lot of them from Arizona, were operating with impunity. There was just violence spinning and swirling around these guys nonstop. There was also the murder of a lady named Cynthia Garcia, who was at a party at the Hells Angels Clubhouse in Mesa, Arizona, which Mesa is a suburb that's east of Phoenix. And Cynthia Garcia was beaten to death, or beaten to near death, on the floor of the Mesa Hells Angels Clubhouse. And then she was rolled up in a piece of carpet, put in the trunk of a car, driven out to the desert in Apache Junction, Arizona, and some members of the Hells Angels cut her head off. And so those two incidents were really like springboards into ATF's position that, like, we have to investigate these guys. We have to try to figure out who's ordering the violence, whose fingerprints are on it, who's conducting it, all those things.
Okay, so you associated yourself with the Mesa Hells Angels chapter, and the guy who ran it was Bad Bob Johnson?
Bad Bob was the president of the Hells Angels Mesa. the Mesa charters, where I just previously described, where Cynthia Garcia was murdered. It was a large, very well organized charter, and Bad Bob had a massive amount of influence over the Hells Angels in Arizona at that time.